early 13th century, the Mongol Empire surged across Asia like a relentless storm, forged by the iron will of Genghis Khan. His unification of the fierce Mongol tribes and audacious campaigns carved out one of history's mightiest empires, stretching from the steppes to the horizons. Upon his death in 1227, his heirs inherited not just his empire, but his insatiable hunger for conquest, splintering the vast dominion among themselves to carry forward his legacy of domination. Among these heirs, Hulagu Khan, Genghis's grandson, emerged as a formidable force, tasked with a daring mission: to sweep through the Middle East and plant the Mongol banner deep in the heart of the Islamic world. His Ilkhanate became a crucible of ambition, aimed at securing the empire's southwestern frontier. In his path stood the Abbasid Caliphate, a once glorious realm founded in 750 CE, with Baghdad, its dazzling capital, as the beating heart of the Islamic Golden Age. A city of unparalleled wealth, fueled by sprawling trade routes and tribute, Baghdad was a beacon of human achievement. Poets spun verses that echoed through time, philosophers unraveled the mysteries of existence, and scientists illuminated the cosmos, making the city the intellectual capital of the world. Yet, by the 13th century, this radiant empire had dimmed. The Abbasid Caliphate, under the faltering rule of Caliph al-Musta'sim, was a shadow of its former glory. With authority reduced to mere ceremony and power scattered among military lords and regional governors, al-Musta'sim faced a crumbling realm, ill-equipped to confront the gathering Mongol tempest. A problematic state for the Mongols was the Order of Assassins in the Elburz Mountains. This secretive Nizari Ismaili state had killed Mongol commanders during the 1240s and had allegedly dispatched 400 assassins to the Mongol capital, Karakorum, to kill the Khan himself. Hulagu was dispatched westward to destroy the assassins and ensure the submission of the Abbasid Caliphate. For this task, he was assigned 1/5 of the empire's manpower, a force of perhaps some 200,000 men. The force included troops from Armenia, 1,000-strong corps of military engineers led by Guo Khan from China, auxiliaries from all over the empire, and generals from all branches of the Mongol imperial family. Because of the size of his force, Hulagu's progress was extremely leisurely by Mongol standards. Early the following year, the Mongols entered the assassins' heartland of Kohistan. An advanced vanguard under the general Kitbuka had taken numerous Ismaili fortresses, unsuccessfully besieged the stronghold at Gerdku, and sacked the city of Tun. Between 1253 and 1256, the Grand Master of the Assassins, Rukn al-Din Khurshah, attempted to stall for time, but his fortresses steadily fell to the Mongols, and he surrendered on November 19th. Hulagu had expected the Abbasid Caliph al-Musta'sim to provide troops for the campaign against the assassins. The Caliph initially wanted to send troops, but his ministers argued that the real purpose of the request was to empty Baghdad of potential defenders, so he refused. Hulagu spent the summer of 1257 on the Hamadan Plain. He was soon joined by Baiju, another Mongol commander who had been occupied with troubles to the northwest. Baiju brought Georgian, Armenian, and Seljuk vassals to join the Mongol army. In September, Hulagu began a correspondence with al-Musta'sim. His first message demanded that the Caliph dismantle Baghdad's defenses and send his 3 principal ministers: the Vizier, the commander of the soldiers, and the Dawatdar, who was responsible for tax and harvest collection and the mustering of soldiers. Al-Musta'sim's reply to Hulagu's letter called the Mongol leader young and ignorant, and presented himself as able to summon armies from all of Islam. In addition, Hulagu's request was denied, and 3 less important officials were sent instead, accompanied by disrespectful behavior toward Hulagu's envoy. a further exchange of letters brought no progress. Losing patience, Hulagu consulted his advisors on the practicalities of attacking Baghdad. Hulagu reached the eastern suburbs of Baghdad on January 22nd. The Mongols then began the siege of Baghdad by constructing fortifications around the city. At this point in history, the walls of Baghdad were in disrepair, and the garrison, some 50,000 men, was untrained and largely incapable. Despite these weaknesses, Hulagu meticulously planned his operations to cover all eventualities. The Mongol forces attached messages to arrows that were shot into the city. These messages contained guarantees of safety for Christians, certain Muslim figures, and those who had not fought the Mongols or who had surrendered. On February 1st, the Mongols attacked the southeast Al-Jami Tower. After some intense fighting, the first breach was made. Mongols stormed the breach, and brutal fighting took place. Despite breaching the walls, the Mongols were pushed back, and the siege continued. On February 4th, the Mongols managed to breach the eastern battlements. After intense fighting, the Mongols seized this area of the city. The Caliphate's soldiers rushed to the other side of the city and began preparing more fortifications. Sensing defeat, the Dawadar attempted to escape by sailing down the Tigris. But Hulagu's preparations held and forced him back into the city with a loss of 3 ships. Caliph al-Mustasim sent out numerous envoys during the next week. But Hulagu was determined to accept nothing less than unconditional surrender. Both the Dawadar and the commander of Baghdad's garrison were surrendered to the Mongols during the negotiations and were put to death. On February 7th, a large number of unarmed soldiers and inhabitants emerged from the city in the apparent hope that they would be spared and allowed to settle in Syria. Instead, they were divided into groups and executed. On February 10th, al-Mustasim surrendered after sending out an embassy that secured guarantees of safety for his family. Al-Mustasim left the city with 3,000 dignitaries. Hulagu asked al-Mustasim to order the population of the city to leave after laying their weapons down. Those who obeyed were slaughtered. 3 days later, the sack of Baghdad began. The city had approximately 1 million residents, and the army massacred most of them. It was a horrendous act that, in one fell swoop, brought an end to the Islamic Golden Age. The sack led to the destruction of countless manuscripts and books, resulting in an immense loss of knowledge. The House of Wisdom, an iconic institution of learning, was obliterated. Scholars, scientists, and poets either perished or fled, leading to a significant intellectual vacuum in the region. Christians and merchants who traded with the Mongols were spared.